Sagittarius, listen carefully because this isn't just another horoscope reading. Something truly extraordinary is about to unfold. Sunday, August 23rd, marks a cosmic shift you've waited years for. Three profound blessings are lining up, back to back, and I need you to understand this isn't random. If you're here, it's because your adventurous soul answered a call it couldn't ignore. This video found you for a reason. And what's coming is no less than life-altering. You'll wipe your tears with abundance. And no, that's not a metaphor for wishful thinking. That's the energetic picture forming in your chart and reflected in the cards. The universe isn't just giving you a break, it's giving you a breakthrough, a clean, karmic reset. One that touches your spirit of exploration, your financial freedom, and your sense of grand purpose. It's all happening on a day that's astrologically loaded. The moon flows into Pisces, pulling up emotions you've buried for far too long, allowing you to shed burdens that have hindered your boundless spirit. Jupiter, your ruling planet of expansion, softly aligns with Mercury, opening intuitive pathways to both profound insight and exciting financial opportunities. And Venus, in harmony with Saturn, gives you stability, not just in love, but in the deep self-worth that fuels your independent journey. That's rare, that's sacred, that's something no algorithm could have predicted. Now, here's what the cards say. I see the world, the Empress, and the Ace of Pentacles. Together they form a sacred triangle. Completion, rebirth, reward. If you've been walking through darkness with an optimistic smile, no one fully noticed. If you stayed silent while the weight on your back grew heavier, these cards are for you. And so is this moment. This isn't about mere luck. It's about readiness. You've paid your dues in silence, in sacrifice, in the unwavering strength that defines a true Sagittarius. What's about to show up in your life is the direct return of that effort, an opening in the form of resources, a contract for a new adventure, a decision made in your favor, a message that changes everything. And it won't just touch your finances, it will heal your heart too. But here's the thing, you have to let it in. And before anything manifests on the outside, it has to shift on the inside. That means making room for what's yours, releasing what drained your vitality, and allowing yourself to be chosen for expansive love, for empowering resources, for genuine peace, even if it feels unfamiliar to truly settle. So, let me ask you, are you ready to receive three profound blessings in a row? Not one, not two, but three, lined up, designed for you, delivered by divine timing. If you feel that truth in your gut, then let the universe know. Type in the comments right now, I'm ready to receive. I claim my triple blessing. This isn't just engagement. It's a declaration of alignment. It's how you set the tone for what comes next. I also want to say something personal before we move forward. Thank you for being here. Your time, your energy, your presence, it matters. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps this space stay alive and connected to those who need it most. So, if you've ever felt alone on your journey, let this moment remind you you're not. Stay with me to the very end of this video. What we're about to uncover will bring light to questions you've been carrying alone for too long. And I promise it's going to be worth it. Your blessings have already begun. Now, let's walk toward them together. You didn't just arrive at this point in time by accident. The sky above you, silent as it may seem, has been preparing this exact window long before you even knew you needed it. And now, as we move toward the 23rd, the door opens slowly, deliberately, not with noise, but with profound clarity. You'll feel it first in the subtle shifts, your emotions becoming more vivid, your dreams more symbolic, and your decisions less driven by fear and more by that powerful Sagittarius instinct. That's no coincidence. That's astrology in motion. As the moon transitions into Pisces, it brushes gently against your subconscious, stirring the waters you've long kept still. This movement is not about chaos. It's about cleansing. It's as if the tides of your inner world are being softly called back into rhythm. Emotions you buried, whether from exhaustion or a survival instinct to keep moving forward, now have a voice. They don't rise up to overwhelm you, they rise up to release you. And when the moon sits in a sign like Pisces, it invites the kind of emotional honesty that doesn't scream, it whispers. Whispers you'll only hear if you're finally ready to stop running from certain truths. But there's more than emotional release happening here. There's alignment. Jupiter, your ruling planet of expansion, sextile Mercury, the messenger, creates a rare opening. You may suddenly know what you didn't have words for before. You might receive a contract for a new venture, a financial offer that frees you, or a long overdue reply that clarifies your path forward. Or maybe as more subtly a sudden realization that puts all the scattered pieces of your financial confusion into one understandable truth. You realize something now about your inherent value that you couldn't see before, and this insight begins to draw different outcomes into your orbit. It's not about luck. It's not about timing alone. It's about readiness, your readiness. And just as this opening forms, Venus trines Saturn, a soft but serious reminder that love in all its forms must now mature. This isn't about romance alone. It's about establishing clear boundaries that honor your freedom. It's about rebuilding what truly matters and releasing what once seemed necessary but now feels like a constraint on your spirit. You might find closure in an old relationship, not because the story didn't matter, but because your chapter has changed, leading you towards new horizons. Or for some of you, something long thought broken begins to mend, but not in the same shape, in a new one. One built on truth, not fleeting fantasy, on soul-level connection, not ego. These planetary alignments aren't random. Together, they signal the ending of a karmic loop that's likely lasted for 7 long years, especially in the areas of financial independence, emotional security, and inner identity. 7 years of holding back, of surviving, of proving your worth in silence. That cycle ends here. A new timeline is activating, not just in the stars, but in your nervous system, in your beliefs, in your everyday choices. It's like crossing a bridge of light you didn't know existed. One that carries you from waiting to receiving, from holding it all in to finally letting it flow through you. You don't need to chase this shift. You just need to step into it. That's all, one honest step forward. One deep breath that says, I'm ready. And as you cross that threshold, you'll begin to notice how the world mirrors you differently. The right conversations open. The energy around money changes. A sense of boundless possibility returns, not as an illusion, but as a grounded truth, like morning light finally filtering into a room you thought would stay dark forever. That's the gift of alignment. Not perfection, but honest, real movement forward. So stay here with me, with yourself. Let's keep going, because if this is how the week begins, imagine what the rest of your story could look like when you walk it with open eyes and open hands. You've crossed a threshold, and now the path ahead reveals its first set of signs, symbols not just drawn from a deck, but extracted from your lived experience. These aren't just cards, they're mirrors, maps, keys, and each one holds a language your soul already understands, even if your mind is only now catching up. Let's begin not with theory, but with truth. You are no longer where you used to be. The Empress appears first, not as an external figure, but as your internal awakening to your true creative power. She doesn't ask for permission. She creates. She doesn't chase. She magnetizes. Whether you identify as male, female, or any identity in between, this is your call to reclaim creative authority over your inner world. That means nourishment, not just food or rest, but what you speak to yourself, what you allow to grow within. Think of your life as a vast, open garden. You spent years pulling weeds, surviving drought, protecting your soil. Now it's time to plant. And not just anything, but what you've secretly longed for, prosperity that starts from care, not conquest. This card whispers, treat your adventurous heart like sacred land, because what grows there shapes everything that follows. Then comes the tower, but in reverse, a soft collapse, a controlled burn. You've already been through the worst of it, haven't you, dear Sagittarius? The ground beneath you has cracked before. And yet you're still standing, maybe a bit worn, Maybe still cautious, but alive, and more than that, unshakable. That last breakdown wasn't destruction, it was detox. It cleared the stage. And what's remarkable is that now, when the storm returns, you don't panic, you listen. Because you've learned that not every crash is a tragedy. Sometimes it's the only way light gets in. The tower reversed is proof that what once broke you now builds you, that you gained a kind of spiritual immunity to chaos. You don't react the same way anymore, and that's growth you can't fake. Next, the Six of Wands rises like a banner in the distance. You've fought invisible battles, quiet ones, the kind with no applause. But now victory approaches, and this time it's public. This isn't about ego, it's about validation. The doors that once closed on you, the jobs, the relationships, the calls that never came, are about to open in sequence. Not because you begged, but because you held your ground. You didn't compromise your core truth, and the universe noticed. This card says you'll be seen not for a version of you that fits someone else's expectations, but for the true, resilient, radiant, truth-seeking being you'd become. And the sweetest part, you won't just succeed, you'll be celebrated. And then anchoring all of this with quiet power, the Ace of Pentacles. No symbolism here. This is concrete, physical earth energy. This is the contract, the wire transfer, the settlement, the inheritance, the yes you were told wasn't coming, the abundance you once thought belonged to someone else's world, not yours. It's resources, but not dirty, complicated resources. It's clean, it's earned, it's aligned. It's what happens when your spiritual bank account finally pays out from years of unseen effort, and you'll know it's real because it brings not just relief, but restoration. This is money that makes your nervous system exhale, money that makes room for grand choices and expansive living. And yes, it may come from a lawyer, a judge, a benefactor, or a wealthy stranger. But don't be fooled, it was never really about them. It was about divine timing meeting inner readiness. So when I say you'll wipe your tears with cash, it's not to be dramatic. It's to remind you that healing and receiving aren't opposites, they're partners. This is the season where the pain you endured quietly becomes the foundation of wealth that arrives loudly. You didn't ask for much, but you're about to receive more than you imagined. Stay with this energy. Let it move through you, and when it shows up, don't question it. Say thank you. Say yes. Because this time, you're not just receiving for survival. You're receiving because you finally remembered who you are and what you're capable of. There's a reason this moment feels heavier than others. It's not just another Sunday. It's a threshold. And if your soul feels slightly tender, slightly expectant, it's because something has shifted behind the veil. On the outside, things might still look the same. Your inbox full, your bills due, your calendar packed with obligations. But on the inside, something far more profound is taking shape. A threefold blessing is beginning to form. Not as fantasy, but as alignment. And each blessing, soul-level freedom, empowering finances, clear direction arrives, not randomly, but as a direct consequence of the invisible choices you've made when no one was watching. The first blessing touches your soul, not in loud ways, but in soft, sacred ones. You've lived through seasons that drained your vibrant spirit dry, and you did it quietly. No one saw the nights you lay awake holding back tears so no one would hear. No one understood how much energy it took to show up with a smile when your heart felt tethered. But heaven saw. And while you may have doubted your strength in those moments, they were recorded not for punishment, but for restoration. This is that restoration. You are not being rewarded because you performed. You are being returned to because you endured. This blessing shows up like a whisper. You don't have to hold it all together anymore. You're allowed to be held now. You're allowed to soften. Strength is not always pushing through. It's knowing when to receive support without guilt. Emotional healing begins here, where you finally allow yourself to breathe without bracing for impact. Embracing genuine rest. Then comes the second blessing, one that enters the material world in a way that feels almost surreal, a financial flow not tied to struggle or sacrifice, but flowing from your integrity and adventurous spirit. It might look like a settlement that finally clears, a reimbursement you forgot about, a payment from someone who owes you not just money, but respect. It could be an investment paying off, or a new contract that was quietly being worked out behind the scenes. However it arrives, know this: it comes clean. No hidden strings, no karmic weight. This is money that liberates, not entangles, and it asks one thing of you: to spend and receive with joy, not fear. Too often we receive something good and immediately brace ourselves for it to be taken away. This time, don't. This time, let the money feel safe in your hands. Let yourself feel safe with abundance. You're not wasting it. You're witnessing it. And your relationship with money begins to shift when you stop treating it like an adversary and start seeing it as a collaborator in your healing and your grand designs. Finally, the third blessing is the most subtle, yet the most powerful of all: a recalibration of your inner compass. You're no longer operating from the same survival instincts that kept you moving when you were running on empty. You've upgraded your inner guidance system. The intuition that once felt scrambled is now clear. You're not just reacting to life anymore. You're discerning it. You're not trying to convince anyone of your worth. You're observing who respects your boundless energy before you invest it. This is what true leadership looks like. Not loud declarations, but quiet clarity, a deep sovereign knowing that says, "I don't chase, I choose." And this choice is sacred. You're choosing who gets access, what gets your energy, and how you want your expansive story to unfold. So, here you are, standing in the center of these three currents: soul-level freedom, empowering finances, and clear purpose. And none of them are accidents. They are coordinates in your divine map, lighting up in sequence. And all they require is your presence, not your perfection. Just your willingness to stop resisting and start receiving. Don't underestimate what's coming just because it arrives quietly. Sometimes the loudest blessing is the one that finally lets you, a restless wanderer, truly rest. If the universe had a language beyond words, it would speak through numbers and color. It would gently place signs in your path, not to confuse you, but to guide you home to yourself. And this time, the signs are clear, bright, and impossibly precise. As you stand on the threshold of this new timeline, the number 5 echoes like a sacred bell across the corridors of your soul, derived from the energy of the 23rd, 2 plus 3, 5. It is not just a date on the calendar. It is a coded key in your personal matrix, a primal number vibrating with the frequency of new beginnings and leadership. Number 5 is known in numerology as the pioneer, the initiator, the one who courageously steps forward to create a fresh path. This isn't the time to doubt your role in the grand design. You're not standing here by chance. You're here to lead, to explore new frontiers, to build something lasting, not just for yourself, but for the lineage that came before you and the ones who will come after. The energy of 23, the Master Builder, also pulses through this moment, empowering you to manifest your grandest visions with both wisdom and strength. This powerful energy suggests that your dreams are not just dreams. They are blueprints, ready for construction. The energy of 3 also pulses through this moment, like a trinity of power: body, mind, and spirit, realigning after years of feeling fragmented. The triple blessing that was spoken of earlier isn't just poetic. It's vibrational. The number 2 is the language of holy creativity and expression, perfectly aligning with your expansive imagination. And when it dances with the solidity of 6, another number active in your energetic field, it creates balance. 3 is the number of home, family, nurturing, and ancestral healing. For you, adventurous Sagittarius, it calls attention to creating a nurturing base or a strong community from which to launch your explorations, ensuring that your future doesn't carry the weight of unresolved pasts. And right now, those numbers are not just showing up on clocks or receipts. They're showing up in the architecture of your emotions, in the design of your thoughts, in the way your body is responding to energy that finally feels safe. That safety becomes more accessible when you work in harmony with color, the subtle vibrational frequencies that influence your mood, your mindset, and yes, your manifestation power. On this sacred Sunday, the 23rd, consider wearing gold not to flaunt, but to align. Gold is not just the color of money, It is the vibration of sacred confidence and abundant joy. It carries the imprint of divine worthiness and shines a light on the parts of you that forgot your true value and capacity for adventure. Let it remind you royal blue is the color of inner sovereignty and truth. It's not about control, it's about clarity. It strengthens your energetic boundaries and helps you say no without guilt to things that limit your freedom, and yes, without fear, to new opportunities. And the softest color of all cream is the tone of rebirth. It carries no old stories, no old shame, just space. Space to begin again with a heart made wiser through fire, ready for a fresh start. When you make intentional choices with the colors you wear, the spaces you design, or the numbers you pay attention to, you are not indulging in superstition. You are entering conscious partnership with the field of energy that surrounds you. You are showing up not as a passive observer of your life, but as a present architect of it. And that matters because everything you do in this window, even the smallest act of faith, is multiplied by the divine law of return. You are not waiting for magic. You are activating it. You are no longer begging the world to see your worth. You are aligning with the fact that it already exists. So, as this cosmic portal opens, ask yourself, what would someone who truly believes in their destiny do next? What would they wear? What energy would they walk in? What would they no longer tolerate? The answer is already within you. This is the day to live like your prayer has already been answered. To move like abundance and boundless opportunity are your new default setting. Not because you're pretending, but because you're finally remembering who you were before the forgetting. When the energy aligns, when the sky speaks, when the signs all point to a window of transformation like the one you're stepping into now, there is still one final element required. Your most powerful activation of any destiny isn't in the stars or in the cards. It's in your willingness to respond. Energy, no matter how benevolent, waits for your yes. And the universe doesn't force blessings. It partners with your permission. This is where you come in. Not as a bystander, but as a co-creator of your magnificent journey. And what's most beautiful is that you don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to move from intention, from sincerity, from the soft, courageous place inside of you that still believes more is possible. If you've come this far, you already feel the pull, the call, the whisper that maybe, just maybe, the pain wasn't pointless, that something is turning, that the silence was never abandonment. It was preparation for your next grand adventure. Now is the moment to meet that shift halfway with simple, deliberate action. Not dramatic, not performative, just honest. Quiet steps rooted in your truth are often louder in the realm of energy than the biggest show of force. Start here. Write down 3 things you're ready to release, not because they were never meaningful, but because they no longer belong in the next, more expansive version of your life. Maybe it's the habit of shrinking your dreams in rooms you've outgrown. Maybe it's the voice of someone who once told you what a free spirit couldn't be. Maybe it's the exhaustion of holding your breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop, constantly anticipating restriction. Whatever it is, name it. Let the act of writing it down be your declaration. I'm done carrying what was never mine to begin with. Then write 3 things you are ready to receive. This isn't a wish list, this is alignment. This is you admitting that you're worthy of joy without apology, of ease without guilt, of love without having to perform or compromise your freedom. Say it out loud if you can. Speak as someone who has already been chosen, not someone waiting to prove themselves. You're not asking for permission to receive. You're stepping into agreement with the life that's already waiting for your enthusiastic embrace. And in between those 2 movements, releasing and receiving, practice the third. Giving thanks for what's already here, even if it's small, even if it's invisible to others. The more you anchor into quiet gratitude for what exists now, the more life finds ways to give you more of it. Gratitude isn't a performance either. It's a posture of power. It's how you say, without begging, I see the good, I welcome more. This is how destiny is called forward. Through these humble human choices, through daily courage, through unseen shifts in energy that ripple out farther than you know. And what makes this moment so potent is that you are not doing it alone. Every viewer who types a comment, every soul who says yes with you is creating a resonance, an echo, collective healing that strengthens your intention like a prayer of energy. So I invite you now to make it real, not for me, but for you. Leave a comment that seals your commitment to what's coming. Say, I am Sagittarius. I receive my 3 blessings on the 23rd with trust and gratitude, or say what's true for you. This is how you move the unseen. This is how you go from hoping to having, from waiting to walking. And as you do this, let yourself remember blessings don't happen to people who are lucky. They happen to people who show up ready. And you, dear Sagittarius, are ready. Cosmic treasure lessons for the adventurous soul. Dear Sagittarius, you've journeyed far, and this pivotal moment on Sunday, August 23rd, is a testament to your unyielding spirit and optimistic heart as you embrace the threefold blessings unfolding for you. Here are some key lessons to integrate into your adventurous life. 1. Freedom through release. Your profound desire for freedom is best served by actively releasing what no longer aligns with your expansive truth. Recognize that true liberty isn't just about external journeys, but also about internal liberation from old beliefs, limiting narratives, and burdens you've carried too long. When you consciously shed these, you create space for unparalleled joy and unhindered forward movement. 2. Abundance as a tool for expansion. For a Sagittarius, financial blessings aren't merely about security. They're about empowering your deepest desires for exploration, learning, and generosity. See this influx of resources as a cosmic endorsement of your grand visions. Whether it's for travel, education, starting a new venture, or giving back to the world, treat money as a collaborator, a benevolent force that enables you to live your most authentic and impactful life. 3. The power of grounded intuition. Your natural inclination towards seeking truth and higher wisdom is being amplified. This recalibration of your inner compass isn't just about instinct. It's about integrating your expansive vision with practical discernment. Trust the deep inner knowing, that sovereign clarity which guides you to choose paths that honor your independence and purpose, rather than chasing external validation. Your choices rooted in this upgraded intuition are your greatest leadership. 4. Embrace rest as a form of strength. As a sign constantly seeking the next horizon, you often push through exhaustion. This period reminds you that true strength also lies in allowing yourself to be held, to soften, and to receive support without guilt. Rest is not a luxury. It's an essential component of your sustained vitality, enabling you to journey further and with greater joy. 5. Your optimism is your magic. Even through past darkness, your innate optimism shone. Understand that this isn't just a personality trait, it's a potent manifestational tool. By maintaining a posture of readiness and gratitude, you align with the benevolent forces of the universe, drawing in the very blessings you anticipate. Your belief in possibility is the fuel for your destiny. You are not merely observing your life, you are actively authoring a magnificent new chapter. Step into this truth, dear Sagittarius, and let your journey continue to inspire us all.